AAA expects more than 70 million Americans to travel 50 miles or more from home this week. And if you're driving, the Biden administration is announcing the sale of 1 million barrels of gasoline from the Northeast Gasoline Supply Reserve. They're hoping that this will lower the cost of gas for Americans. Now, the national average right now hovering around $3.50. It's about the same as it was this time last year. And for more, I want to bring in Jared Bernstein. He's the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, and he's joining us live there from the White House. Thank you so much for being here with us, and let's jump right in. Quickly, what will releasing these reserves from the supply do for Americans?
Well, supply is the key word there. When you increase the supply of gasoline, the releases from the Northeast by this many barrels, 1 million barrels, that's 42 million gallons of gas, you're going to put some downward pressure on the price. We timed this specifically because the president wanted to make sure that this travel season was a good one for people driving, but also for people flying. You know, airfares are actually down 6% over the past year, and we have record number of people passing through TSA and flying with a cancellation rate that's at a 10-year low. So this president has tried to sync up this release with the July 4th weekend. We already have gas prices down 20 cents a gallon relative to a couple of months ago, so moving in the right direction.
Realistically, though, as you mentioned, 42 million gallons, according to GasBuddy, that's just a couple of hours of daily U.S. demand. What is the real significant impact, though, on Americans?
Well, it's a good point because you have a global system of energy here, and no one expects this injection of gasoline, 1 million barrels targeted for this weekend, to have an effect that lasts months or quarters. But it very much should help over the weekend, and that's the target.
Over the weekend. All right, let's talk about how the fact we're coming down from record high inflation. But look, it's a slow go. And it's expected here that we won't reach this 2% inflation, that is the Fed's goal, until 2026. And frankly, with the prices of everyday goods skyrocketing, a lot of American families can't wait that long. What is the White House doing to address that disconnect there on the timeline?
Well, first of all, let me connect with you and our listeners around your overarching point, is that too many prices are still too high. And you have a president who is working ceaselessly to try to bring these costs down. Now, I'd probably push back a little bit on this issue of inflation not coming down very quickly. In fact, inflation has come down more than 60% from its peak. It was 9% when it peaked in the mid-2022. We last saw it at around 3%. That's a very significant decline in inflation. Grocery prices, so important to working people, grocery prices have been flat or falling. Prices themselves, not just inflation, but the actual costs have been flat or falling for 4 months. The gas price, as we mentioned, is 20 cents down from a couple of months ago. And by the way, about $1.50 down from its peak in 2022. These are all movements in the right direction, but too many prices are still too high. So our agenda, whether it's housing, childcare, whether it's junk fees, whether it's healthcare, prescription drugs, insulin, we're making cost cutting a top priority and doing it wherever we can.
If that's a top priority, though, I do want to ask you about this ABC News Ipsos poll. It was in May, and Americans were asked, who do you trust to handle the economy? 46% of those Americans chose former President Trump. Only 32% said they favor Joe Biden when it comes to the economy. What's your response to that?
Well, I think sometimes you pick up some partisanship in those questions. Obviously, you're naming candidates. I think what sometimes is useful to do is ask people about their own financial economic conditions. There you find a lot of people saying, I'm doing pretty well. I don't like the fact that prices are still too high. And as I've told you, not only do we agree with them, but we're aggressively moving to cut costs wherever we can, not the least of which is 1 million barrels of gasoline released to help people over July 4th, not to mention airfares down 6% over a year ago. And in fact, speaking of costs, airfares are actually lower than they were before the pandemic now. So this is progress moving in the right direction. We have to build on that progress, and that's where our cost-cutting agenda comes in, when it's whether it's childcare, housing, health insurance, clean energy, gasoline, we've talked about groceries. We're just going to keep pushing till we get there.
All right, Jared Bernstein, thank you so much. We always appreciate your time here with us.